Good evening.
Oh, hello. Why am I shocked that we're live? I'm like, oh,
You just press the
hi.
button and then oh yeah, this
Yeah, I forgot that I pressed the button. Hi everybody, welcome back to Crypto Talks. My name is Phil. That's Rob, and we're doing crypto things, specifically TA today, because it is TA Monday, and that's what we do on Mondays. It's been a long weekend, for me. I'll admit that right now. Mainly because I actually sold, with full disclosure, I sold my entire Solana bag this weekend. And I messed up a little bit doing that because that's
explain
just
the
me.
perils of market trading.
Yeah. Even I. No, but yeah, I'm. It's all good now, but the whole weekend was very, I was very like that.
Too stressed.
The whole weekend
Too
stressed out. Yeah,
stressed.
and I shouldn't have been, because today our indicator actually is showing a hard sell as well. So I'm emotional wreck, exactly. No, I made the right decision, and I think it's because I deviated from my plan. My plan was always market peak and then sell, like the whole cycle. But I couldn't resist being able to sell here and potentially buy back, 30% lower, almost doubling my bag, which would be so nice. So I'm taking that risk now, and hopefully it will play out. Either way, let's start with Solana actually, because a lot of things have happened, and I'm actually going to zoom into the 1 hourly and show you why I was an emotional wreck, so you don't do the same thing, and potentially see what my line of thinking was, so I don't have to be too ashamed about it. So we'll see here. Let's start with Solana. As everybody knows, we've had this huge run up. I think the whole run up was about from the bottom to the top, like 180.
400%. Oh, just this move, but I was thinking, yeah,
268% to the actual top right there. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's up 400% ish from the bottom, which is
441% year to date, which is somewhere around when they started going green down here. But from the bottom to the top, I mean, $8 to 64 is not bad, right? But yes, so what's happened? We haven't really talked much about Solana, but what's happened is similar to what Bitcoin has done. Only Bitcoin currently is stuck right here on this trend line. This is Solana, obviously, but Solana broke out, as everybody knows, with a whole bunch of volume, and now we've been topping out pretty much for 3 days. And so when I saw this occur, this topping, the big wick on top, I thought, you know what, it is time to sell, take a risk for once with my Solana and get rid of it, with intentions to buy back. I'm not selling because I don't want it. I'm selling it because I want more, and I'm greedy. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump into the hourly, and I'm just going to, actually, I'm going to remove that one. There we go. So what's happened here was, the first thing I could see happening was sort of, we had this dip, huge pump that caught my attention when we started falling over here. During around this time, I was at my computer the whole day, basically watching. And then during, I believe, this candle, when this candle opened and started going red, it cracked under let's see, where's my lines? It was cracking under this, I believe it was. I think I had this top wick on the 1 hourly. A bit too zoomed in for my own taste. But when this candle started going red and under this, I said to myself, okay, it's already been under, it's coming over, it's coming back down. And so I decided I'm going to sell here because I think there's going to be a bottom. And I market sold just like a lot of other people apparently did at the exact same time, which meant my cost basis, instead of being 58, it ended up being all the way down here at 56, at almost the bottom of the wick. That sucked. Which also kind of messed it up for me, because my sell would be on this level a resistance level if this turned out correctly. But now it became just a new bottom, basically. So I stayed up all night and I saw this red candle form, fail that where I wanted to sell it in the first place. And then it fell over again and kept going down and yada, yada, yada. I stayed up until this candle formed. And I think on the 15-minute, I saw these three starting to form, and it went under my my actual sell price. So I was like, okay, this is okay. But I forgot to set a stop loss when going to bed because it was 3:15 in the morning and I was very tired. So what happened was when I woke up at 8:30 the next day, which is right here, exactly there. Great
Perfect
day.
timing.
Perfect timing to wake up. And I thought, oh, crud. But luckily for me, then I noticed that we had this. Oh, sorry, this is going to be the 1 hourly. So what I did was I pulled this line on the wicks. And this, I'm just going through this way because I feel like this TA itself is not incorrectly done. I just messed up with the sell order and it ended up way lower than I wanted it to. And I guess I was just on like... It just proves that everybody else thought the same thing at the same time. Just dumped it off.
This is just the warning about how, you know, when we talk about liquidity of markets, and you look about the actual available dollars in a particular market after it has made such a big move up, there are people who want to take money, who want to take profit, and so there is, you know, exactly as you were, and now you put your stop at a perfectly sensible level. However, a lot of other people put their stops either just in front of you or, you know, they just before you. They executed first, and so they drove the market down before you even got a chance to have your position assessed. And
yes,
this is kind of inevitable. This is what you have to remember with crypto, is this is a 24/7 market. It's a very small market by global standards. It's a very illiquid market. That when everything moves up so fast, then there has to be periods that allow for distribution, reaccumulation, just a testing of these supply and demand zones, because people want to know, you know, you being a perfect example, you want to know if there is actually genuine demand for Solana at $4 around this level. And so if people people have to be patient if you're going to play the trading game of not rushing a decision, to make your decision based off sound analysis, to consider getting back into the market if your analysis is invalidated. But these drops are inevitable and they can happen incredibly quickly and you can't get out of them.
No, exactly. And so to get back to just this is what the TA looked for me, how it looked for me during this time, because I was waiting for this to happen. I was waiting for it to fail and then kind of just not crack through this. I somewhere in my head, I couldn't stay up all night looking at this, because obviously this is the 15 minutes, very short term. I don't normally go in this way, but it's nice to be able to see the short-term trends, to kind of see and scope the sentiment of the market. So when I woke up that morning and I had this pulled already, I pulled this one later in the day and it followed this the whole way down. It tried breaking through, came down again, bounced on the line, sort of, came back up, hit the line. And here is when it started getting kind of erratic and stopped following the pattern. But it usually does that. And the thing with a pattern like this is when you come into a triangle like this, from this side down, it goes do, and then it usually breaks downwards. And I knew that. And so I've been expecting this to happen ever since I sold, basically. Well, not breaking the triangle, but breaking down. And one of those things where I wanted to break down from was, well, first it was this one, and then we had this general area here where it bounced on this side and on this side too. But here it came down even further. So now we're actually under this general area. And to me, something like this looks very nice on the daily. Okay, you happy now? You saw what I did?
Very good.
Well, yes. So
see how easy
here.
that is?
Yes, but now, so what I'm waiting for here, and I'm going to give what I'm going to do personally. This is my plan. Do what you will with it. But with these huge topping, I can still say that yes, it might still go higher, right? But at least now we're getting a breather. Will it be a breather to 48, which is kind of where I have my first buyback? I don't know why that's there. Or will it be all the way down here to 27, or will it be at 40? So my layering in here
will it go to 48 and just off it goes again?
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm actually waiting for is to see what happens here at 48. I don't have a limit order set because usually the market moves when I'm asleep, and that sucks. So 48 for me is where I'm going to be looking first to see if it's going to kind of, get that type of move and get up to 78, which, I mean, honestly, when you're looking at it this way, it's not that far off. It really isn't that far off to get to 78. Will it go all the way down to $40 to this line, which is pretty significant support right here? The 48, by the way, is from this here. It's not that significant, but it's something. Or will we have one of those giga crashes that Rob keep talking about, where we get, kind of like a weird thing where it comes all the way down to correct down here to $28 or something like that? I mean, it's all possible. Although I personally have a hard time seeing a correction when the sentiment is the way it is now. From 65 to 48, it's 25% basically. To 40, it is 37%. To 28, or 27, if you put it that line, it's 57. Is that possible? Let's see what we have here. This correction, 47%. This correction, actually, it's counted from here to there. That first one, that's 41. And here to, that's the bottom, I guess, 50%. Yeah, it's
this
not.
This is the thing. It's not even unusual. It's not.
No,
people talk about it like it can't happen. When it happens, pick any 12-month period, and you will see 50% drops. Even have a look at 2021, and you see even in the middle of an absolutely raging bull market, there were multiple. Bitcoin was being very shallow. Bitcoin was only dropping sort of 20% at a time. But a lot of alts, they'd whack their way up and then they drop 50% very rapidly. And it's something that you shouldn't be scared of. You should take those as the buying opportunities. The market gives you so many buying opportunities, even if you miss. If this is kind of what we're building our strategies around. We're both of the opinion that now if you have dollars and you are looking at what to put into the market, unless it was a short-term trade, this isn't a place I'm looking to invest in.
No.
Now, I might end up buying Solana at $50 in 6 months or a year's time, but that will be from a position of from when it's
an utterly huge crash.
Yeah, whenever it comes, or even not necessarily an utterly huge crash, just these 50% drops. 40-50% is where you can go.
Just 50%, like
yes,
it's nothing. Because it isn't.
It isn't. Not when something makes 200 or 300% moves upwards.
Yeah,
and this is there's a I can't remember his name. Is it Eric? Is it Voorhees? Also, is the CEO of, I think it's Shapeshift.
Yes,
and he's got it was a really good tweet, and it's saying that one of the side effects of performance is volatility. So imagine a high performing but stable asset. So it just carried on going up and up and up and up and up in a straight line. If you knew of such an asset that it was just going to go up in a straight line, what would you do with it? you would buy it. And
Yep.
if you're buying it and nobody is selling it because they all see it's just going to go up in a straight line, well, guess what? There's no sellers and it suddenly goes exponentially up, deviating from the straight line. And then when it gets above the straight line, everyone's looking at it going, that's supposed to go up in a straight line. It's currently overvalued. I'm going to sell it. And so such a high performing and stable asset would suddenly become volatile. It would still be high performing, but it by its very nature, an asset that is high performing has to be volatile. It's really, really easy to go nowhere and not be volatile. Your stable gains. Go and invest in bonds if you want stable gains. You can go and get 5% risk free for 30 years. Go do that. That's just an objectively good investment.
Yeah.
Now, but if you want 100, 200, 300% returns a year, 1,000% returns a year, get used to the 80% pullbacks.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I'm just looking at some stuff here that I don't know why I'm doing, but I just like to do random stuff sometimes. But so just looking at the RSI, which is something that I use a lot, like it works very well on the daily. Right? It just, here's the proof, right? Just looking at the corrections that we've had so far in terms of measuring the percent and day from peak to bottom of the RSI, you see they are dropping 67, 65, 62%, 64% maybe on average, if we just, because we don't have the numbers for this one. That would put us on the 4th of, no wait, sorry, the 5th of January, start of next year, where Solana might bottom out, maybe, right? How hard will it go down? Like, I'm just trying to get some of those kind of,
just
an idea. Something like this. Maybe. Oh wait, there's the top.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, $40. Like, is that impossible? I don't know if this is impossible. It just looks like a standard correction for Solana.
That would be very bullish to come back to 40, retest that level and hold it and then pump upwards. That's good. I mean, I'm looking at that sort of $27 as a far more tasty target. Is it going to get there? Yeah, I don't know, but it's
could do. I mean, if you look at it this
certainly way. Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility that even if it takes until March.
Yeah.
You look at that uptrend, it holds that yellow uptrend, and it could still come all the way back and still be in an overall bullish pattern. That's right now we're seeing a coin that's just had an awful lot of positive news, and although it's clearly growing in value, is it worth $54 right now? I don't know. Is there that much demand for the token in order to pay for transactions? I don't think so.
No. Well,
it's although it's clearly it's the fastest growing blockchain in terms of its usage. However, one of the benefits of being so cheap is it doesn't take a whole lot of Solana to use it. So somebody can buy one Solana and be set for a month. So and that's something
if that's even
year. Yeah. So you've got to think, if the user base doesn't actually need to buy any more Solana, if all the people who are actually using it already have all the Solana that they need, then who else is buying it? Speculators. Varying whether they are long-term speculators who would call themselves investors, but we're lying to ourselves, we're speculators. And
we are.
Yeah, and so that speculative value can add and be added to and removed from the market very, very quickly, and so there's no reason that it can't be just as long-term bullish, just as incredible a technology that's growing faster than anything we've seen, and it can still drop 50-60% without even a single, without anything fundamental changing.
Let me give you a good example of how crazy Solana is. Look, I said to everybody, I was spending the entire weekend looking at this chart, trying to figure out if I should, get back in somewhere or just leave it, or if I should trade the breakout if it continues up, which is, a sensible thing to do in my opinion. Like if it breaks a huge pattern and starts going, I'll buy back in again and just ride it up to my next level. That's perfectly fine. I took profits. I take more profits when I get higher up. So, but that's, a trading thing, and I don't really do that much. But when I do, I try to do it good, which I don't. But hey, I'm just being honest. I have nothing to hide. Like, I fucked up, but now it's good, so it's fine. But something that I did want to say about what you just said there, Rob, is I was looking at the charts and I was looking at the order book, and I was looking at the depth of the order book. I don't know if maybe I can show for people that I don't really know what that is. This is the depth right here, and here's the order books. So I was looking at this and I was looking at what the orders are, and I can tell that there's a bot here running about 130 to 100 Solana per trade, and there's another that's probably a grid bot, and then there's a grid bot running 500, 400,
9.5.
yeah, 9.5. All these specific ones. But then on KuCoin on the phone, I don't know how to get to that in here, to be honest with you, and I won't. But so what I've seen is every now and then there is a grid bot with much wider range between the grids, trading a $250,000 order every couple of hours, and then sells it for 267, 260, 270. So this dude is he's got a grid bot with probably 25 grids on it, trading a couple of cents here and there, but with $250,000 per grid, that means he has millions in that. Millions with an S.
Yeah.
And when this guy decides that I'm done here now, I'm dumping because I'm in profits like massively, stuff goes down.
Who's going to buy the bags? This is the thing. You've got there has to be a continuous supply of new people buying at these prices and people willing to sell to them. Now, at the point where the sellers are more than happy to sell because they're looking at it going, the chart doesn't look great, and I've made stupidly large amount of gains.
Yeah.
Then there's suddenly, people, they all decide to sell all at once, and you get the slippage that you suffered. That was just a feature of this market.
Yeah. Here's something that I noticed today that gave me some hope that we were crashing down, because we saw this happening very quickly. This is the 1 minute chart. And then right after, I think the trend line is like right here somewhere. Can't see it now, and then instantly we got this thing, a little bit of sideways move, and then a giga dump again. And that just told me, okay, that guy is now out. Okay. And I looked at the order book and I saw that, okay, it was being dumped. Not everything at once, but rapidly gone. And that's where you got this from. And then it happened again here, I think. But like I said, when I said that I dumped mine, was right here, this candle. So if I were to zoom in on this more with shorter time frames, you would be able to see that big 1 minute candle that made this 15-minute candle that large. It was just one big one. Boom, everybody dumped. Everybody, myself included. And of course, then the big guy dumped right here in these two. So like it's kind of scary to do this stuff. Like I had a guy ask me, actually, was it today? I think during the day when I was at work, he told me he was thinking about getting into day trading, and I said,
No.
"Do you have any experience trading at all?" He's like, "No, I haven't done any of that." I'm like, "Okay, get into investing for like a year at least before you even consider starting to trade anything." And that's just my opinion because I'm that way. But he thought he could get right into day trading, and yeah, I mean, I guess you can, but you're not going to be very good at it, my friend. And that's just the truth, because scalping is hard. But yeah, just try to try to, I mean, practice on the 1 minute scale. Do your quick TA and do all that and see where you get and do some paper trading for a couple of months, and then maybe try doing it, with money.
I would always say I would say don't paper trade, even if it's just a small amount of money. Take $100, whatever it is you can afford, and use. I would always say use real money, because you actually feel the loss, and think of it. Expect to lose that money, but think of it as a tuition fee.
Yeah,
that's that's the thing. Is
that's even better.
Before this, you have a strategy. You've decided what kind of investor you want to be. You've watched people on YouTube. You've ignored people on YouTube. You've decided to, had a look and just worked out what you think the charts are saying, and then put a little bit in, and feel what it's like to sit and actually trade and experience what the movement of the market does in real time on different time frames. And tuition fee. You expect to lose it, and then you go, oh right, okay, cool. As long as you learn the lessons and don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, I'll say this though, Balino here is right. He says trade spot. What I means by that is don't trade futures with leverage. Don't use leverage. If you're getting into this stuff and you think, oh, I'm gonna start with $100 and I'll do 125x leverage. Yeah, let's go. And then you don't do that. Okay.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. And this also kind of plays into that. Worst case, you keep the coins and sit it out, and that means, for me at least, you only trade coins that you actually like. So if you mess up, it's like, oh, okay, I'll just keep the Solana for a longer time and then I'll sell it off later. Like, don't go buy Pepe 2 and, I'm not going to say I haven't done that. I've scalped Pepe 2 and I've scalped Shrapnel and I've scalped some other weird stuff, but that was with stop losses, and they were always moved up as I was, like, every 1 minute candle it was moved up just to get out, because I don't want to be sitting there with 700 billion Pepe 2 coins that I don't know what to do with. Okay, anyway, so I wanted to show you something before we move to Bitcoin, because something just happened with our swing trade strategy here today. I'm just going to add everything here, all the exits, all the entries, and now it's actually gone just because of that. But we had a so what happens here is when certain values are fulfilled, these red and orange and yellow arrows appear, and just so happens that today we had a red flash right here, and we were talking about it before we started streaming 28 minutes ago, and now it's gone, which means that one of the values has gone up, which means it's removed the hard sell signal. But I'm pretty happy I sold 2 days ago. It would have been nicer with a better price, but it is what it is. But this tool, if I just had looked at this tool throughout the whole ordeal, I would have saved myself a lot of headache. And knowing now that there is a signal about to pop up here, I kind of knew that during the weekend too, that it was about to pop, because I know we built the strategy, we built the thing, we know how when it's supposed to pop, and now it did, and it just confirmed it for me. I'm like, okay, I'm happy now. I'm not sure if it's gonna reappear, depends on what the price closes at, but I'm fairly certain it will flash and say hard sell here. But yes, that's all I wanted to say about that. I think we should move on to Bitcoin, actually, because I think it's pretty interesting what's happening with Bitcoin as well. And everybody has seen our Bitcoin charts. They should have by now. Still the same TA. Still looks the same. And Bitcoin is stuck right here under this trend line that we put here back in April 14th. It's pretty funny that top is on April 14th, by the way, because I think the Bitcoin halving is calculated to be on the 14th of April next year. Like a year.
So a year away.
year away from that peak, but obviously we're closer now. But yeah, we're kind of stuck under this, and I'm seeing some weakness in Bitcoin here. I wouldn't say weakness, but the moving average of the RSI is going down. We have a lower high on the RSI. This is gonna pop. This is gonna be a bearish. I don't know if it's already shown it. Yeah, bearish divergence on the RSI. What tends to happen when we get these bearish divergences? Well, I'm just gonna plot it like this, like that, and like that, and there's another one, and there's another one, and here. It usually signifies close to a top or basically a top. So seeing this happen here, and then we have a higher high anyway with another bearish divergence that hasn't shown up yet. It's going to show a double like this one between these two peaks. For me, that just says, okay, we're kind of topped out, and with all the trend line and the fib level, it's kind of stuck in between those two. So I'm not sure what to say about that, to be honest. But it feels topped out to me. I don't know about you, Rob. Do you have your own charts?
I mean, if you look at my Bitcoin chart, I have, and I did this purposefully, is I've drawn my uptrend. My equivalent of the yellow line is a little bit different to yours.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there you go.
I think it's because you don't put it on. Do you put it on the?
This is basically it's used
the wicks.
It's just using the wicks. I think if I zoom into like the hourly, it's probably looks a bit more sensible. Nope.
Nope, it doesn't.
4 hours.
Maybe it's on the weekly. Who cares? It's there. It's generally the same.
There you go. You see, it is following a number of sort of touchy bits. Which this is that thing about getting really hung up about trend lines.
Screw the wicks.
These wicks here, they're all the same. Yeah, so you can see it did touch. It did touch that wick. Touch that wick there. Mm-hmm. Body there. Lots of little bodies sort of around there. So we kind of set this. I've never really moved this trend line. Now you say you've had a slightly different one, but I just kind of held this one on. And to me, we tested it again in April, and then again at the start of the month, and then this time we've now pushed through it. And so to me, there is a potential that actually this sort of hangs around and holds this uptrend, whereas you've got that drawn as resistance, and both are correct. There's no, we could sit and argue about which one's correct or not, but they're ultimately both telling similar things. It's just
you're right, because what this proves is that we're two different analysts, Rob and I. Okay, we're both very close friends, and we both think very much alike, so we pull the same lines. However, if you think about it, there are people all over the world looking at the same thing, pulling the same lines. That's why TA works. But some of them pull it slightly different, and some of them are, more popularly done than others. And I think yours is on the linear chart. Maybe that's why it's different.
Actually, yeah, there you go. It actually does pretty much basically lines up as resistance on the log chart. Yeah. So but either way, that's just people see again which is correct between the log chart and the linear chart. Noobs tend to use linear chart. I think when you've been through a cycle, then you realize that this doesn't really make much sense, and you can't actually look at it, and so then it's like, oh, actually, this does make sense.
What it is for me is the longer time frame I'm looking at, the more I'm leaning towards log, right?
Yes.
If I'm shorter term, like an hour or down on the time frame, linear tends to be more, and everybody in chat, tell me what you use. Everybody in chat, tell me what you use. Do you use the log scale or the linear scale? And if you use both, when do you use them? Let me know that, because I want to know what everybody else is thinking on this one. But
so I find once if you think we've bottomed, then this is it, is that the log scale can give you a false sense of perception as well. Is that it makes you think, oh, there's it can kind of make you think, oh, we're nearly there. We're not far away from the top on looking at that, and then you put it to the regular scale, and it's like, actually no, because our brains don't think logarithmically. Our brains think linearly.
Yep.
We can't picture that going from $1 million to $10 million is exactly the same gain as going from 10 cents to $1. It's there's a certain sort of disconnect that we think where actually if this look particularly based on what we've seen, the acceleration that we've seen here during this period, by comparison we're actually we're not, this is a leisurely pace upwards. And if this is the simple fact with Bitcoin, and why we all agree that Bitcoin is inevitable, is it's simply a function of supply and demand. And it doesn't matter as much as we talk about sort of bearish macro backdrop, but
that's a good line.
It is a good line, actually.
That was a good line, actually. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember us putting that there like ages ago.
Yeah.
And then when it broke down, it just fell straight through. Hard.
And see, people say trend lines don't work, and then they kind of do.
They kind of do.
Kind of do, because this trend line was based off nothing. I haven't touched it. It was perfectly valid. Yeah, it was perfectly valid, sort of there, and
I can't believe we forgot about that line.
Nicely joined up to there, or wherever it was. Yeah, but does it really matter anymore? I don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of on it now. It's just a fun thing to see your own lines that you forget because there's so much time in between all them. I do want to, because when you were talking about that, how slowly we were moving up in comparison to like the actual exponential move, I thought of the rainbow charts, which is, I think they call it the Trollolol chart as well. Because this is a model, okay? A model doesn't mean that it's going to be completely correct every time, okay? These kind of are adjusted normally a little bit, like the stock to flow and all that stuff. But what you mean by this, what I think you mean by what you said, is the way we're moving around here right now, slowly upwards, is very, very similar to this type of range right here, or especially this right here. Like we can stay moving upwards in this pace for this is like 2 years before the exponential explosion happens, right? Last cycle we had this kind of mid-cycle gigapump type thing, and then we fell back down, and right now we haven't really seen that, to be honest.
So there's two things to think about from 2019. One was the Plus token scam, which people still don't know about, and it was absolutely huge. Basically, there was an ICO of essentially a Ponzi token called Plus token, and it was being run in China, and people in the West just kind of didn't really notice it. It was only really big inside China, but they raised like $1 billion or something, or several $1 billion of Bitcoin. I think it was about $1 billion, and that was while this ICO was going on, because it was in Bitcoin. It was just sort of driving the price up. And then they essentially just started offloading all this accumulated Bitcoin from this Ponzi. And it was the market.
Not very nice of them.
No, but it was the market getting carried away with itself. And something, whatever it was, in this case, it was a particularly popular ICO, whether or not it was legit or not, it added a significant amount of buy pressure to a market which had been sucked dry from a year's worth of downtrend. And after, people have been accumulating over the last few years, so there is a reduction of available supply. It doesn't take much interest to send it flying upwards. And we're seeing that now. But if we're seeing it in little pumps, far more sort of natural and organic. And so if we just come back to sort of my chart and have a look at sort of,
I didn't realize my bad.
Actually put the rainbow chart up, because the rainbow chart does show it really particularly well, actually.
Okay, let me see if I can do this. There you go.
Yeah. So if you look at 2019 and 2020, the price was very sort of erratic.
Yeah.
Around, the yellow comes up as hodl at that 14k, or 11,500 was sort of the weekly close at there.
Yeah.
That was a sell. It was not a buy. But if you go back to sort of 2015 and 2016, and you see this far more sort of, slow, far more similar to what we're seeing now, is what this entire cycle looks way more like 2013 to 2016 so far than it does 2018 to 2020. It doesn't look anything like the last bull market, but it looks very much like the one before. And so we could see this same sort of, and I think that's perfectly normal. Is if think of the stock market just going sideways, continual problems around the world, a continual deterioration in economies, and that is not a bullish backdrop for Bitcoin. Right? Until this, money printing is bullish for Bitcoin, and until they really start printing money properly, it's that's not going to work very well.
No, I don't think it will, but
you can squish it around
I'm just
axis.
looking at the I'm just looking at the range.
So this is not an environment where Bitcoin is going to do well. However, if there are people around the world who have money who are going, I don't trust, and I'm thinking much more specifically outside the West, outside Europe, outside the US, where people are going, I do not trust my bank, I don't trust my economy, I think that there are forces that could completely ruin my wealth that are outside my control. I trust Bitcoin to be able to at least, it's an insurance policy against disaster. That's what people can genuinely see it as. And financial disaster, in the event of financial disaster, Bitcoin will initially crash as people scramble for, let's face it, real goods, stuff that they actually are essentials to survive with. If you're talking complete breakdown of the financial system. Now, what's far more likely is it's a slow, continuous process of degradation of the quality of the financial system. It won't be an outright collapse of the whole system. There will be isolated collapses, as we've seen in the likes of Sri Lanka, the likes of Pakistan, and this year. And before that, you've seen really high inflation in Venezuela, Turkey, Argentina. Many countries around the world have had incredibly high double and triple digit inflation for many years before COVID. And Bitcoin is a lifeboat. It's a way to escape that the storm. It's not a comfy ride. It's not a luxury yacht. It's not just going to sit there and give you a nice time.
It's a go-kart.
But it's going to keep you alive. It's going to, if the event that there's a really good video. I think we'll find it and put it in the comments. It's by Andreas Antonopoulos, and it's called "The Ship is Sinking," and it's essentially this analogy of the financial system being a cruise ship and Bitcoin being, holding Bitcoin being, on the lifeboat.
Yep.
And it's a really, I wouldn't want to go into the analogy. I could be that, the whole video is about 40 minutes long, I think, but it's a really good video to watch, and describes perfectly how Bitcoin adoption is not going to be from the US. It's not going to be from Europe, not en masse anyway. Over time, the adoption and usage of crypto will come from developing economies who use it through necessity, not through just it's Lambos and Moon and Hodl and
I wouldn't buy a Lambo anyway. They're plasticky as hell. Yeah. Seriously, they are. Anyway,
no. Give me a good VW transporter instead.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, Passat. Good stuff. Okay. Let's look at just ETH real fast, and then I think we should round it off because we've done it for 45 minutes already, which is fine. I hope nobody minds that we're pulling these out to a longer frame. I would love doing this an hour every day. That's perfect for me. But 30 minutes seems to be kind of like a golden pocket for a lot of people.
Nah,
but
hour or nothing.
Yeah, hour or nothing, man. Just quickly on ETH here, just around the range where we actually are right now. Obviously, we bounced on this. We were able to draw this trend line over here fairly recently, and it's broken through 2 resistances. We had one here, which I don't remember why it's there. I think it's a weekly close thing, or it's nothing. Actually, it's nothing. Never mind. This one right here is the first real one, which is this top and this top right here. Broke through it. Oh, actually, it's 3
decent
tops.
Bounce.
Yeah, decent bounce on it. We failed this one. We haven't come up to this trend line yet. And a lot of ETH, I don't want to call them maxis, but a lot of ETH lovers are talking about 2.5K.
I ain't calling myself an ETH lover. However,
no.
I did quite clearly talk about buying ETH, and I did buy some ETH, swap some Bitcoin into ETH. And I'm quite comfortable with that situation. And as I talked last week about how rolling, you can ride waves, and say Solana has been on a wave, Bitcoin has been on a wave, ETH hasn't ridden the wave so far. A lot of alts have popped up, but if you look at alts, and we talked about this last week, where there's a lot of altcoins, it takes a few 100,000, a couple of million to move them, really, really big percentages. Ethereum needs hundreds of millions to billions of inflows in order to really move meaningfully. And when the rest of the market sees that, once people have that they start to cash out of Bitcoin, they start to cash out of Solana. If you're a pure trader and you're looking for the next opportunity, and we're talking about how a lot of stuff has had breakouts, and then that's led to really sustained rallies, and you can just look at Ethereum right there and go, it does have a lot of room to move. It's got a lot of room to crash, don't get me wrong, there's no guarantee here, but it would be pretty disappointing, and I'd say it would be bearish overall for Ethereum to just roll over and fail here without having some sort of putting in a significant higher high, the same way that the leading cryptos have been doing within this market in the last few months or weeks.
I'll say this too, like, to get to this, like, we've already been there. If this resistance, if ETH can crack through that, the next one, if you skip over this trend line and just go to the next one, that's 8%. Can ETH move 8%? Yes, it's 8%.
In an
Solana,
hour,
for example, moved. In a minute you can move 8%. Solana moved, for as an example, almost 30% for like 4 days in a row or something. But then the next one is up here, the next real one for me at least, which is 66% up from this. From this, and can it do that? No, I don't. You don't think
so?
Oh, but I can be wrong. But I can be wrong, and that's what I'm trying to get to. Like,
we didn't expect to see Solana at 64.
Exactly.
And this is the thing with outsized moves, is they catch everyone off guard, and the market will screw you in both directions, both up and down. And for anybody waiting on the sidelines that really does believe in ETH as a long-term player and wants to have it as a significant portion of their bag, and they've been looking at it going, should I buy? Oh no, I'm not gonna bother because everything else is doing better. And then suddenly Solana starts cooling off and Ethereum starts gigapumping. And that doesn't take much to happen, and for people to be then left out of the wrong side of the trade.
Yeah. So I'm just pulling a fib level here in a kind of a weird way. I've noticed that on some assets, you can pull the fib level to like a resistance level-ish, and then use that as it sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. But the fib levels are not lining up that badly. We have this fib level right here. Gordon Fox kind of ignored, and I pulled this now in on weekly closes, which might be a bit too long term. But yeah, I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm just toying around with this right now because I want to see if it works. But Definitely it could go. It could go to 3.5K. Like that's 66%. It's not that much
Okay.
for ETH.
So what you're trying to do, and this is the thing, is what you're doing is you're doing it upside down. You just flip to my chart.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So you get the same thing by doing fib extensions. So instead of
Mhm.
going from the bottom to the top, if you go from the top to the
Top-
bottom,
yeah, I know.
yeah, then yeah,
I'm
you
trying.
get these nice
Yeah.
levels, which if we just see where we're talking, and they're going 2600 and 3560, which is exactly as we were, basically the kind of levels that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So when you say do they line up, yeah, they line up pretty well with, you know, and this is one of those tools that people will use to go, where is price going next? Well, 2.5K doesn't seem very out of, it doesn't seem ridiculous when you think the Bitcoin's at 37.
No. And you know, it's just it's gonna be fun to see where it
And,
goes.
well,
honestly, because
I'll
a lot of
just flip.
people have lost faith in ETH for some reason, which I don't
Well,
really understand.
I'll give you, as usual, the only important chart that I find when it comes to ETH, which is the ETH BTC chart. And yeah, we talked about last week coming down to this level, and yeah, we're having a nice decent bounce so far. Yeah, trying to get back into this wedge, and you know, this is something that kind of, you know, is it unlikely maybe for ETH to come back sort of to the top of this range at sort of 0.08, which would be
it depends on the time frame, really.
Within end of the year?
Yeah. I don't know about that.
If the market doesn't dump significantly, why can Ethereum not do something it's already done?
No, it can. It can.
And yeah, I would say, will it? I'm not saying it will, but if you just look at the comparative, then say Bitcoin is, you know, Bitcoin might have more in it. You know, let's look at the biggest sort of bullish scenario, which is ETH hitting the top of that resistance line and Bitcoin at what, 48K, which we've mentioned. So that would be 4,000. That would be a $4,000 ETH. If that scenario happened, do I think Ethereum's going to go and break out to new all-time highs versus Bitcoin? I'll be honest, no. It's got as high as 0.15. So could it come and, you know, could it test 0.1? Like, if, you know, we talk about psychological levels, 0.1 is definitely zero. You know, it's definitely going to be a level to watch. And it's only played around with it a couple of times in the past. So if Ethereum is serious about growing, and a lot of people, for a lot of people, Ethereum was growing much faster than Bitcoin. Has that trend actually stopped? You know, Bitcoin's valuation is generally pretty independent of Ethereum's fundamental valuation. They do different things. They are not the same crypto, and all of those bullish factors, the move, you know, the reduction, the issuance reduction, the idea of potentially being deflationary, those narratives, you know, they're just narratives, and this is always, you know, where you should ignore those narratives when they come along, because the fundamentals don't necessarily reflect the reality of what you see on the chart. ETH became a apparently massively bullish token when it moved to, you know, being potentially deflationary. But what did that mean on day one of being deflationary? Nothing, because the market participants are still the same market participants, and they haven't felt that long-term effect yet. Now, and this is where you'll get disconnects between valuations and prices, and we have that potentially now with ETH, where if it is really growing faster than Bitcoin, it should be making new all-time highs versus Bitcoin. And just that's it. Don't be surprised to see those kind of moves happen when you don't really expect it, because they happen all the time. Solana being a perfect example, and it won't be the only coin to make really outsized moves in this market.
No, for sure not. I mean, just looking at stuff like Injective and Render, I think Injective has done like 1500% year to date or something like that. At one point now, now it's 1170. So okay, that's a lot. I have my levels to get into that. I know where I want that to go for me to be comfortable buying into Injective, for example. You know, it's a smidgen, just tiny little bit. But okay, I think we're done for today.
Are we done?
I feel like that was nice. That was nice. Was it as
very
good for you as it was for me?
It was beautiful, darling.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching and all that. Make sure you follow, subscribe, like, and notification bell, and also join the Discord. You gotta join the Discord. Like, we want to hang out. Let's go. But yes, and tomorrow, Rob, are we doing Macro Tuesday tomorrow?
Yes.
Good. Yes, we're doing big long talk about things. Yes.
I'll find some things to talk about.
Oh yeah. Oh, me too. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. See you tomorrow. Cheers.
Bye.